Okay, so now we're off to the Bat.
I love the Bat.
Honestly, I do too. He's got a really cool design and an interesting stage idea, but like so many other things in this, not quite right. But Forgotten Warrior of Shadow, Dark Necrobat, Dark Dizzy. It's just
At least I got the surname right.
good. He's actually got a note. I shamelessly went for the Count Dracula look here. His right eye is a monocle, and he has a haughty air about him, which... Not in our text, he doesn't.
Oh god, no, not at all.
We'll get to that, I guess. But yeah, so this stage is supposed to be a planetarium. It isn't, like, it's not in any way.
God, galaxies and shit like a hollow planetarium.
Yeah, it's lazy, and this... Alright, well, it'll come off a little bit lazier than it actually is, but it's still pretty lazy, because this is now the debut of the Falcon armor, which it's so good, like, it's such a good armor set, that I can now just ignore, basically, just everything.
So the thing in the background causes a fuck ton of slowdown. Is that supposed to be a swirling galaxy and the slowdown is unintentional?
I'm pretty sure the slowdown is unintentional.
Or is it a black hole and the slowdown is deliberate?
I'm pretty sure it's unintentional. Because it's just on, like, a weird timer thing. I mean, it might be, but it's a stupid mechanic if it is, so... Whatever.
Man, terrible. I don't like this stage.
No, this stage is pretty bad. Those spikes that spawn in are instant kills. I'm not getting hit by them, I'm getting hit by the bats, so there's at least that. And now there's this, which is just like another completely unnecessary Alia description, because she'll just... This is one of the first instances of, like, here's a stage gimmick, or whatever you want to call it. And it's not a great gimmick, but it's, like, clearly a thing that, like, okay, the rest of the stage is now going to be, like, move from platform to platform and continue progressing on that, even with my flight. But she just, like, keeps explaining it as it's going. It's like, then don't bother. Like, if you're going to walk us through this so closely, don't even bother having a special stage mechanic, because I'm not doing anything anymore, and the track line isn't really that confusing as it is. Like, it makes maybe two, like, whoa, crazy turns, like, right there, and it's just... Why bother? Plus, because the constellations are sort of random based on where you are, so you can kind of force them to trigger in certain ways, the spikes can and sometimes do fall on top of that. So if you're using any armor other than the one that I'm going to get later, you'll just not be able to progress because there's instant death spikes on the thing that you need to progress on.
Oh my god.
Yeah! So, normally I assumed that I needed to use the Falcon armor to fly up to get that. You do not when the platform is still at its max height and closest to it. So, like, right before it goes down, you can do a dash jump up off of it and just barely reach it, which I think I do, like, not on video, but I tested it with the next armor and made it easy to confirm that.
With this weird-ass angle thing, the collision is, like, a third of the way up from the ground plane, like, offset. How does that work for ceilings, and specifically spikes on the ceiling? Like, can you put your head into them?
No, I'm pretty sure spike hitbox stuff is just like, it's spike, here's a spike, it's a rectangle, you apply. Which, at least that's clear. Like, you would assume that.
It's not like that on floor spikes, because the plane is still in line with the rest of the level. Like, you can touch those back spikes just fine. It's the mid spikes where you actually dead. It's just...
It's dumb, and I think most everybody agrees that, like, if there's one thing to call out the PlayStation 1 games for, it's that stupid fake perspective. Like, I don't think anybody's like, that's a great idea!
Well, if they do, I have questions. Also, the screen flipping thing.
Yeah, it's basically the same as it was in Cyber Peacock Stage, which means they went a whole game without improving it at all, which just sucks.
If it didn't recenter the camera, it would at least be a little bit more coherent.
Yeah, but it doesn't. So it's bad. Also, this segment. I actually do it quicker than I usually do, but I really don't like this section at all.
When Metal Gear Solid makes you do this shit, they at least give you more room to work with.
Yeah, this one is extremely precise. And, like, I at least respect the idea of it, and it's less irritating, in my opinion, than the Duff McWhalen one. But at the same time, it's just like, I know what to do, just give me the capsule and let me leave. Like, it's not like I'm on a time limit, or I'm, like, racing a hazard, or fighting off enemies at the same time. It's just like, I might run out of ammo. I've already figured the puzzle out, just give it to me. And I don't think there are any other capsules that are like that. Like, if you need a weapon to open it, you shoot it and it goes. So.
And that weapon seems so fucking pointless. Like, this is the only real use of it, right?
I mean, it's a neat idea, and it is this boss's weakness, which, that happens a lot in this one, because you use, wait, I might be thinking of a different one. No, there's always something that... No, I don't know. Oh, I'm thinking of the Duff McWhalen mini-boss sharing a weakness with the actual boss. There's a lot of weakness weapon sharing, I guess, in this one. Like, you will use a weakness weapon either in the stage that you get it from, or you will use the same weakness weapon multiple times that you would end up using on the boss in that stage.
Or both. Sup, Duff McWhalen?
No. Oh, well, yeah. Actually, yeah, shit. Both cases. Yeah, not great, but I'm torn on it because I'm a proponent of having more backtracking, which this game does do a little bit. It's just, I think when it's get boss weapon, return to stage with that boss weapon, it's not really the same thing. Yeah. So I don't really know what I want, I guess. Because, like, really, that's one of the only times that would really happen on a non-optimal route sort of thing. So... fuck me, I guess. So this is Dark Necrobat. I really like his enemy concept. Like, I like the fact that he spawns those guys. And that's more or less my only major thought about him. Like, he was localized kind of shitty with the whole, like, wall squeak thing, but not a lot of bosses do that. And I wish more of it. At least not ones that are cohesive. So, like, Blast Hornet kind of does it, but they're his own projectile as opposed to, like, oh, this guy is just a factory for this enemy type that I've already seen in a couple games. That's kind of cool, I guess.
The charge shot for this armor penetrates, right?
Yeah, so this is something that I mentioned a couple episodes ago, if not the last episode, is your normal charge shots don't penetrate enemies or terrain the same way that they used to, and this charge shot does. So it now gives this armor an additional feature that makes it like strengths versus weaknesses thing, which I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think that's kind of nice. Like, I don't miss it because the game is designed around it, and then this armor gets another benefit. Though, it doesn't work on certain energy projectiles, but you get this, like, 8-second long invincible free flight mechanic, so it's like, it didn't really need something else, but I understand what you were going for.
And Jesus Christ, it happened a little bit ago, but his invulnerability frames from getting hit by his weakness weapon just... holy shit, they lasted forever.
Yeah, so the reaction sort of thing in this one is basically just... they are going to be invincible for at least twice as long, with one exception, and that's only because of this weapon, and it'll be in the next stage, so you'll see what I'm talking about. But one of the worst offenders for it is Dino-Rex, who I'm doing third in this set, so second to last. And his is just, like, offensively bad. Like, especially during the refights. Because during the refights, I don't know if you've noticed, but the bosses are progressively leveling up, which actually changes their difficulty, which, I guess I'll talk about that mechanic for a second, is that makes it so that no matter what order you decide to do the bosses in, you always start with a boss that's a little bit easier than average, and you always end on a boss that's a little harder than average, no matter, like, you could start with anybody and end with anybody, and that would remain consistent. And their ranking will also give you part rewards, which is going to start up now. Ranking will also change based on time played, like in-game countdown to colony crash time. So what that means is you can get all of the upgrade parts only if you die intentionally a bunch and cycle that timer down, so that you get one of those reward parts for a hard boss all 8 times. Which is kind of shitty, but, like, the parts that you get aren't so ridiculously good that it matters that much. So I think handling it that way is kind of... especially because, like, if you're plowing through them easier, then you don't really need a good reward out of it, so it's kind of like a higher risk, higher reward sort of thing, which is kind of okay. What was I saying right before that, though?
I don't know. This is a cutscene that we did not get in the regular version.
Yeah, so this is super important. Why? I'm glad that that's what came up right when I said that.
Yeah, God, we missed a lot of important plot details in the irregular version.
Which, doesn't that just suit the irregular version?
A little, yeah.
Right? And I mean, we sort of get to showcase, like, 2 different storyline versions, I guess, which is kind of neat. Also, hey, look, it's Lifesaver! I got my handy-dandy notebook for that. There are many Lifesavers, and they feel less human than the others, so I tried to convey this by reducing the amount of fleshy body parts on them, which is why his face is so enclosed, which you can't really see there. Basically, they're mass production medical units. So this part is kind of important because it's Lifesaver being like, we should probably fucking do something about Zero. He looks like a virus colony almost. This is bad. And everyone is admittedly skeptical because he's like one of our allies. He's been fighting and he's not going Maverick, so we should be good, right? And he's like, maybe. We'll see how this turns out. There's actually also a note about Cygnus in this specific scene, based on his art design. I just wanted to make Cygnus look as proud and important as possible, so I gave him a lot of parts. I only realized how much trouble I had gotten myself into later when I found out that he actually needed to sit down in one of the scenes. Because he's got, here, if you look, flash the art on the screen, he's got like a solid waistcoat part, so it's like, fuck, what do I do now? God damn it. Speaking of waistcoats, not a huge fan of the boss overall, but I love Skyver's design. Like, not the Pegasus or Griffin, or, no, not Griffin. Pegasus and what's the other flying horse? Because there's, Unicorn and Pegasus, rather. Not so much that angle of him, but I love the way his body looks like the formal military wear and everything. Like, he's got a very good aesthetic overall.
Isn't he Repli-force?
He is Repli-force, which is listed incorrectly as Reploid Air Force and Reploid Force in this one.
Great!
Yeah, it's just rushed translation. But yeah, no, this is Repli-force, and it's actually cool. There's, I want to do a whole video on this kind of thing later on, but a little snippet of it now, is he takes over as the Air Force commanding officer after Owl goes down. So there's actually continuity there, too.
But is the Repli-force still an actual thing at this point, or is this just like a remnant?
That's a little up in the air, which is good because we're in the air stage. Wow, I'm so funny. Also, fuck that time bomb up there. This is after several attempts, and I was just like, this is the only thing I can think of. I'm just, fuck it, I don't care. Besides, I never used the Giga attack for this armor anyway. But yeah, they're listed as, like, he's one of the surviving members, quote-unquote, of Repli-force. So it's kind of up in the air as to whether or not they're still in power or even still as numerous as they used to be, but they are still a faction of some kind. So, you know, take that however you want.
Do they show up at all in 6?
I don't think so.
Do the Ball Soldiers show up at all?
I mean, probably. I'm actually not sure if the Ball Soldiers do or not.
If it's all using the same engine, I can easily see them just recycling assets.
Yeah, I don't remember if they do or not. So this will go down. It's obviously breaking these platforms. The weapon tank in this game is on top of that one, so you just need to know when to drop down and get it before that happens, because then it'll fall down into a bottomless pit and you'll miss it. Because God knows you really need the weapon tank. Don't want to miss out on that. But here we've got the very first instance of needing the Falcon armor to get a new armor part, which is this body part up here. Also, hey, what's going on, Sigma? Just gonna hang out with me up here while I talk to my dad?
Sigma, are you okay?
I'm so happy that this happened. What do I, I'll just wait.
God, what if it infected Dr. Light?
That'd be funny, because it would just be a self-enclosed version of the AI. I assume these are all copies.
Then HoloLight started making armor capsules for Sigma.
That'd be really neat.
Just like have a rogue light AI fucking around with shit.
That'd be cool. I almost feel like Light would instantly be antivirus, it's just no one thought to try it. It's like, just Sigma goes in there and immediately eradicates the entire threat. It's just, okay, what do we do now?
Should have tried this shit a long time ago.
So, in order to bypass, or prevent you from bypassing this part using the Falcon armor, that platform will stop progressing if you get too far away from it, so you can't just fly up. For the most part, like, you can bypass it a little bit, like I did there, but that spike area is mostly it. So we got more time bombs that...
Why are there time bombs?
I guess it's just like the Mavericks are trying to fuck up the Repli-force. Because this is another instance of, like, he's not a Maverick when you get there. So it's like, he's gonna help us. And this is bad. Mavericks are hurting our maybe ally sort of thing. But I think it's just a weird stage gimmick. Which doesn't seem necessary, because there haven't really been any others of those in this. Like, you don't have to collect the rescue Reploids in the factory stage, or whatever Squid Aidlord's stage is, in order to, like, progress or get the energy cartridge. So it's like, I guess? Like, sure, I'll defuse the time bombs. Mostly they're a hazard. It just feels kind of superfluous. Like, they were going with mission mechanics before that was really a thing in the series.
So do those Sigma viruses ever time out, or...
once they go far enough off screen, I think they might, but I don't know if that's even correct or not.
Great.
Yeah, it's... Okay, I think I already explained it, but you need to get hit by 4 of them for anything bad to happen. So really, I think we've seen a total of, like, 2 in this level alone, so they're mostly just there as, like, an artificial hazard. Like, you instinctively try to dodge them, and that causes trouble for you, but whatever.
I miss the bird-ass planes from 4.
These ones aren't quite as good. Also, this is, like, such a cheap knockoff of fighting on top of the Death Roadmer. It's like, I kind of get it. It's like, this is really cool. You're fighting on, like, the wings of a moving jet, but it's like, it just looks so terrible. Like, it's just bobbing gently. The clouds are moving in one direction. It's like, I don't care. Why does this matter?
Why is Skyver so fucking retarded?
Because most of the characters are, like... The problem I have with it is, this is where they start writing boss dialogue, which is fine, but when you have the bosses that are supposed to be helping you, you need to turn it into a boss fight somehow, and they couldn't just be like, oh no, he turned into a Maverick right at the last minute, every time, and they don't do that every time. Like, some of them are just antagonistic, but for instances like this, like, oh, fuck, what do we do? Like, what do we do now? I kind of wrote myself into a corner, so it just comes off as bad, and I guess we'll leave it up to our translator friends to figure out whether or not there's a better explanation for it in the Japanese version. I'm guessing there's not, just knowing the track record, but maybe there is. So yeah, this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier. It's like, it's really good design, but kind of wasted on a boring fight. Like, his sound effects sometimes don't even really go off. He's just a more irritating Storm Eagle. And it sucks, because Storm Eagle uses Storm Tornado, and that will push you off the edge. Like, he's trying to knock you off of the flying platform too, but it's in a way that you can fight back against more conveniently. He'll just body check you until you get thrown off, and when he hits you, you get, like, high knockback, not like a normal, oh no, I took damage and moved a couple pixels backward. Like, he will punt the shit out of you, kind of like Overdrive Ostrich does. And so, like, if you're close to the edge and he hits you, you're basically guaranteed to die. And it's just not fun. And then, like, his only other attack is the wind spiral, like, tornado projectile, and it just looks like a worse storm tornado. So it's like, I don't really care.
So weakness is time stuff.
Yeah, it's mostly just to make him stop moving. So it's more or less the same scenario as Quickman, which I'll accept that. Like, it's just holding the mobile target still. And he's the one that I was talking, like I said, next stage, so not complicated, but... his is the only weakness weapon that makes the fight go faster, because it's not invincibility frames, it's just stand fuck still for a second and let me kill you, which is not arguably, just is better. Like, there's no reason to not do that. The only difference is you won't be able to kill him before it all runs out, so what I usually do is I wait for him to hit half health like I did in that video, and then hit the timer, because then you're kind of guaranteed to kill him, as opposed to starting with it and then accidentally getting kicked off the edge and like, oh, I just wasted a bunch of time and ammo. And I think your ammo comes back between lives in this one, I don't remember, but it's just a good fail-safe, in my opinion, and it's a more guaranteed thing, so. Plus he, I think, does a little bit more aggressive tactics later on in the fight, so it also makes that safer. But yeah, so... It's even affecting the Repli-force. Holy shit, this Maverick virus is terrible. Or Sigma virus is terrible, blah blah.
It's not like the Repli-force would ever go Maverick or anything. Oh no!
This is the thing that's happening again!
Oh hey, Dynamo! I'm happy again.
I know, right? This is the fight that I was mentioning before that makes me like really, really, really respect him as a written character. I so desperately wish happened not only in more Mega Man games, but in more games in general. Zero games kind of do it. Which, by the way, there was Zero. I flashed by him for a second because
I thought you were about to hit Zero. I was like, oh god, no.
No, just went a little too far by accident. Yeah!
Perspective, what
best background? What even is happening? Fucking love it.
Oh!
Kind of waters down a better fight, but it's fine. So yeah, we get more really good dialogue, which I really feel bad talking over this because there's not a lot for me to say other than it's so good, god damn it. But yeah,
just that line, I want to disturb you. It's like, all right,
like I'm just here to get in your way. I told you about that. Like it's my job. I'm sorry,
you troll ass motherfucker.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's like okay, things are getting dire, so now I'm gonna get serious too. And granted, it only adds one more attack to his repertoire, but it's a pretty fucking cool attack, all things considered. Which I always suck at dodging, and I was hoping that the flight invincibility frames would go through that. They do not. And he's weak to wing spiral, which sucks because it's not conducted to the boss fight, which is a phrase you're going to hear us talk about a lot in the rest of these videos. But
so he's living up to Colonel's legacy. Gotcha.
He's living up to Colonel's legacy, except he's at least an interesting character. Like, I wouldn't say that he's a better fight than Colonel. I think they're actually both equally kind of meh. And Colonel admittedly has Ground Crush, which is one of my favorite attacks. But this is also one of my favorite attacks, so I'm kind of torn. Like, they're both bland. But then they both also get that one attack that's like, that's really cool. So, I don't know.
At least with Colonel, you got to do some interesting air dodging.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, granted, this is
a more technical fight.
Yeah, it's getting watered down by the fact that I can fly for 8 seconds. So it's more on me than the fight, but... You know, they could have designed around that a little bit. And it doesn't matter, because I suck so bad at dodging that jump slash, and I'm not even afraid to admit it. Like, everyone that's, like, a good speedrunner, really good at, like, boss buster dueling and shit, you have me beat on that 100%. I suck at some of these fights that way, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, so, here's an important thing. Colonel dies, Mac dies, Double dies, everyone dies, every named character dies, X-Hunters die, they all die. This one is instantly, fuck, that was my strongest, I'm out of here. You should, like, take it easy or else you're gonna die too. I don't want to die right now, so I'm bailing. And it's like, holy shit, like, why has no one else thought to just leave before they die for no reason? And, like, that instantly, like, as soon as I read that the first time, I was like, alright, you're great. You're right at the top of my favorite characters list. That's amazing. Plus, I still love the fact that he's one of the first characters since Mac that isn't a playable character to get an actual teleport animation. Yeah.